Hi friends, and welcome to my I Capture the Castle reading vlog. It is actually now Monday as I'm filming this little update, and our read-along actually started yesterday, and the little montages you saw were of me trying to read yesterday. But I only got probably a chapter in yesterday before I was so tired and I fell asleep at like 8:30, and I had like so many other things going on yesterday that I wasn't really anticipating. So I am already behind, and I am one of the hosts. Great. So, but I did just finish the first three chapters that I was supposed to read yesterday. And let me just say that this book is delightful so far. Um, Let me tell you a little bit about what it's about if you are not following along with us. This book is about a family, and they live in a castle in England, but they're not nobility or anything. They just basically rented a castle. And the father is a writer with a rather sad past, and he is a widower who is now remarried, and he has two daughters and a son. And this book is told from the perspective of, I believe it's the middle daughter. Because there's the the narrator is the daughter named Cassandra, and she is a writer. Well, she wants to be a writer, as is the father. He is a writer, and he's kind of a defunct writer. He wrote one thing that sold really well and hasn't really written anything since. So, as you can imagine, they bought this castle, and whenever, the father was, making money, and now he is not making money. So, rather sadly, the family is very, very poor to the point that they have like no income ever. And they basically are going hungry all the time. Cassandra says a couple of times that she can always find something to eat, but it just sounds like she kind of wills herself into thinking that she's not hungry when she really is. So, I mean, like, as a reader reading this, you see this stuff and you think how sad this is and how horrible these poor girls' lives must be. But from Cassandra's perspective, she really doesn't, really seem to care. She's very witty, and she's just very like, because she's a writer, she likes to see things and experience things, and she just really makes the best of everything, and she kind of turns it all into a story. So far, there have just been, even in the first three chapters, a lot of really good quotes. And one of them I will read to you from the very end of the three chapters that I just read. Hold on. From the end of the first three chapters, it says, "Noble deeds and hot baths are the best cures for depression." I quite agree with that, Cassandra. I love a good hot bath. And in fact, I think that I will use this opportunity tonight to have a book bath, because I still have three chapters to read in order to get caught up to where I'm supposed to be. So that will actually fulfill one of my bingo prompts, because it says to either go for a midnight swim or a bath, or have a bath. I do not have anywhere to have a midnight swim. I'm certainly not going to go in the lake. That's just not me. And I do not have a swimming pool. So, but I do have a bathtub. So we will be having a book bath tonight. And maybe I will put the bingo card up here because already on Sunday I fulfilled 2 of the prompts. I had afternoon tea, and I also had, what else did I do? Well, you'll see it up here. That's really all I have right now. I will check in with you again whenever I finish the next 3 chapters and maybe have a little bit more to talk about. Whew. I just took the most delightful book bath, but then it was way too hot. Because, like, I don't know if you can tell, but I was literally sweating in my bubble bath. And then, like, I got out and I was still sweating, and my heart was kind of going a little bit, so a little fast. So, note to self, if you're going to take a lovely hot bath, don't make it too hot. You're gonna get a little winded. So, but anyway, now that I'm out and I stood in front of my oscillating fan for a while, as you can see, my little sleeves, and yeah, now I'm gonna get back to some reading because I have 2 more chapters to go for tonight. Hello, friends. It is actually now Wednesday, so I'm not doing really well at updating you every day on I Capture the Castle, but I'm actually still behind by like a day. But it's been a crazier week than I thought it would be. I don't really even know why. Yesterday, I actually didn't feel real great. I had some stomach issues yesterday. So I just, even though I read, all day and got to the point where I was only a day behind yesterday, I didn't really I did have some wine. So I did do a prompt. But I just kind of sat around when I got home from work and read and didn't really feel like getting on camera. So that's neither here nor there. I am currently on chapter 8 of I Capture the Castle, and I am tabbing up a storm to the point that I actually ran out of my pink ones that I was using for quotes. So now, to be fair, I just opened this one and I had been using it for North and South as well. So there weren't it wasn't a full amount on here. And I do have more tabs of these, but yeah, I don't know if I'm just doing too much or what. I'm very new to this annotating game. But if you use colored tabs for things, what do you what do you tab when you're doing the colorful tabs? And how do you deal with if you run out of a color and maybe you don't have extra of them? I think what I'm going to just do is, since I was using pink for all of my quotes, I think I'm going to go to the purple, because I did have purple in here for what I thought were important plot points. But I think I might just take those out and start using them for quotes, because I feel like I'm going to remember important plot points. So more what I need to tab are new characters and character traits, which I'm doing in the yellow, and just quotes that I like, or fun sections that, I feel like deserve a tab. So I don't know if I'm really going to be good at this color coding tab thing, but I'm giving it a try because I do love the way it looks. But anyway, my thoughts now that I'm on chapter 8 haven't changed, as far as thinking that this is just a really charming read, and it is perfect for, just a slower time of year. Which a lot of this takes place in, it goes over 6 months. So I think it starts out in winter, maybe, and now they're on about April. So they always talk about midsummer, which that's one of the prompts, is to have a midsummer celebration this Saturday. So they talk about midsummer, and so I'm assuming my thought process is probably going to be that this is going to end in the summertime, but I don't know. um, and I am enjoying all of the characters. I still love the narrator's voice, Cassandra, the middle daughter. She is just really amusing. She reminds me of Flavia DeLuce, if you have read any of that mystery series. Just her witty voice and how she talks about her family members just really puts me in mind of Flavia. Which, to that point, Flavia is only, I think, 11 or 13 when I've only read one of the Flavia DeLuce books, the first one. So I think she is around 11 when that series starts. And she's very, very smart. So Cassandra, the narrator of this, has like almost a similar voice to Flavia. And when I read the back of this book, the characters are in their late teens, early 20s. So Cassandra is 17 in this book, and she's coming across to me as a lot younger. And maybe it's just the family dynamic. I don't know. Maybe it's the time period that it's in. But she's coming across, and even her family kind of treats her as a little kid. And she should be like near adulthood, I would think. Like, her dad is always saying like he's glad that she's too young to be on the marriage market, and because her sister Rose is looking for a husband, because that seems to be the way they're going to possibly get out of their poverty if she can marry rich. And so yeah, that's kind of my only gripe with this book at this point. And it's not even a gripe, it's just an observation, I guess, really, is that the narrator is older than she's coming across. But all the characters, I really enjoy them. Topaz, the mother, is just really, or she's the stepmother actually, but she's really wonderful. Like, in literature, I feel like we always get these evil stepmother type of images, and in this book, she's just really a good person that's trying to lead the girls in the correct direction. And it's kind of funny because she's very bohemian, and one would think that she would just be very flighty, and she is kind of like, she is very like, she goes out and dances around naked at night. So she's very interesting, let's say. But she has a lot of good insights for the girls, and she really is a careful, she thinks before she speaks, I think, a lot of times. The only character I don't like at this point is the father. And he's nice enough. He's a nice guy. He treats his family, or at least Cassandra, he treats her well. And he means well, but he is just so ineffectual as a father and a husband and a provider. Like, he's a writer, and I feel like we have this image of the tortured artist writer that, he can't write without his muse, and he has no more ideas, and he just has to wait for the muse to strike. And so he just sits in the gatehouse and does crossword puzzles, and isn't making any money at all for his family, and relies on them to like sell all the furniture and sell clothing and do without, just because he can't come up with anything to write about. Well, then get a dang job, get like a laborer job or an office job or something. Like, you're obviously an intelligent person, And you're basically being a bad father and husband because your kids are basically starving. And the only thing that is getting them by is the boy that lives with them, Stephen, who is adorable and I love him. He he just loves the family so much that he goes out and basically, well, he gets a job because he basically works for this family, but they've never paid him. They just think of him as like one of the family, but basically they make him do all the work. So um, he goes out and gets another job that actually pays him so that he can in turn give his most of his wages to the family so they can buy food. Like, that is not on him. I mean, they should be paying him if they expect him to do things for them. Uh, so that is, yeah, that's kind of where we're at in this book. But it's extremely funny, all the antics that these girls get into. Rose is kind of, she's definitely depressed. I don't know if she's like depressed to the point that we'd call it clinically depressed, but she's definitely like desperate to get out of her situation, and just things that happen to them with this the Cottons and their new character that we've just met recently, or they're two brothers, and they think that these brothers are going to be their ticket out of poverty, but she continually screws it up. And so it's funny the things that happen to them. There's a scene about a bear that is hilarious. So yeah, that's where we're at this moment. I am talking and rambling way too much, so I am going to continue reading and try to get caught up today. Hello, it's update time. As you can see from the last clip, I took a little break from work today to go on a walk in my favorite park that's near my house. So that fulfills another bingo prompt, which is great. And I have just finished up to chapter 12 of this book. And let me tell you, things have just gotten way more interesting. Up until now, I felt like this was just a very nice book, a little bit, a little bit of intrigue with the Cotton Boys, and it looked like, that Rose, the older sister, who kind of gets the impression that she needs to marry for money. And it looks like she's actually going to get one of the characters, get one of the men. And so then something happens in the ending of this book, in the ending of this chapter, that has kind of changed my opinion of a couple of the characters in this, and particularly the main one, Cassandra. I mean, sort of what happens in this is not her fault, but her reaction to it is very distasteful, if you ask me. um, so I'm trying not to spoil too much of it. But so yeah, and in the chat group and Instagram, Angie was like, "If you think it's getting crazy now, just you wait." so so I have, if I'm on chapter 12, there are 16 chapters. So I will probably just update you whenever I am done. So I've been kind of behind for the duration of this week, really. Like a day behind, but I think I will get caught up here shortly. What with the weekend coming and everything. So I think I will get it done on time. So I will check in with you then. But yeah, things just got a lot more intense. And yeah, it was weird how like all of a sudden like things just got crazy. And I will say that the more this book goes on, the worse I think the father is. he is he is not nice to anyone, really. As I originally was like, well, he's nice to Cassandra. He's really not nice to Cassandra either. And he seems to be like getting worse. Like his character development is not becoming better. It's becoming worse, which is interesting. And kind of everybody else is too at this point. Like they're definitely having a dip in their opinion, or I am having a dip in my opinion of like everyone in this book right now. I would say that I have a little bit of empathy with Rose. I don't agree with the fact that she might be marrying for money, but at this point we don't really know that. Like she says that she loves Simon Cotton, but it's kind of you just aren't really sure. But I totally understand where she was coming from, having come from that extreme poverty, just kind of like trying to convince herself that she loves him because it's like solving her family's problems and her problems because she was just very unhappy in the situation that they were in before, for obvious reasons. And now this, like, knight in shining armor has come in and, you know, swoops her away to London and all this, extravagance. And yeah, I think a young girl in that position would do the same thing. So I have some empathy for her, but yeah, who knows what's going to happen because apparently it's going to get even crazier. So I will update you when something else happens. Hello, friends. It is actually Monday, and I realized that I never wrapped up the book. I don't know what I was thinking. I filmed that little, quick clip of me at the lake, doing my picnic prompt, and after that, I just never picked up the camera again. And I was getting ready to upload this, and I was like, wait, I never talked about the ending of the book or did any more updates. So, anyway, let's talk about it. So, when last I actually updated, I had just gotten to a specific part that really, like, does a big shift in the feeling of the story. And it involves the narrator, Cassandra, and I guess I'm going to do a little bit of spoilers, so if you don't want to hear this, bye. Um, but it involves the uh, fiance of her sister, Rose. And it was just a total shift in the whole atmosphere at that point of the book. And things just started going crazy after that. Um, and it was really interesting actually because I feel like after I've had a few days actually to mull it over and what all happened, the book did not end in a way that would have normally satisfied me. Um, I really wanted Stephen and Cassandra to get together at the end for her to realize what a sweet, sweet cinnamon roll he was. That's not a phrase I usually use, but I figured I would say what the kids are calling it these days. And I was really hoping that Cassandra would realize, you know, true love and all that stuff, and realize what she was missing with Stephen. And it never really came to that, at least by the end of the book. But I feel like after a few days' thought that it really was more true to life that way. Because the whole time, like the first half of the book, before the incident with um, with Simon Cotton and Cassandra, I I was saying how I felt like Cassandra was much, much younger than she actually was. And then by the end of the book, I think, like, initially I was kind of mad because I thought, well, but there's no happy ending. There's nothing, nobody really got a satisfying, all tied up in a bow ending, which is what, normally you want in a book, sort of. And um but then I had to remember that Cassandra is only 18 by the end of the book. So she still has a lot of life left to live. She doesn't really know necessarily what true love is. I mean, she thought that she was in love with Simon, and maybe she really was, but that didn't pan out, which is good, and um, but it didn't pan out with Simon either. And I feel like she kind of regrets that in a way, but not enough at this point in the book to really like go running after him or ask him to come back or anything like that. And and Stephen is just kind of breaking out into his own adulthood at this point, and experiencing life and experiencing what it's like to actually make his own money and make his own way. And I think that's important for a coming of age story. So I feel like everyone in this story kind of grew up, kind of learned, what is really important to them at that moment, at least. Except maybe the father. he he just never really showed any improvement. No, there was no growth in that man at all. But I feel like that was maybe kind of a good thing too for Cassandra and Rose. Maybe not Topaz, because she's his wife. But I feel like seeing their father be a certain way and be so ineffectual will help his children maybe not be that way. And things that happened with Rose were not good, but I think she also, I don't agree with what she did at all in the end, but but at the same time, again, I can kind of empathize with her thought process, and not that that justifies her actions, but I can kind of see why she's so muddled. You know what I mean? Like her life has just been a lot of trying to please herself, trying to please others, trying to convince herself that she is helping her family when really she is just helping herself. So I didn't really think that she was as awful as a lot of the girls in the group thought she was. But yeah, she was also not a great character. But by the end of the book, nobody was really a great character except for Stephen. And even he was kind of flawed by the end of it. So, yeah, I really was impressed with this book. I was impressed with the writing style. Every new chapter started off with a really intriguing, in it like initial sentence. Um, that really compelled you to want to read each chapter. The characters were just always intriguing, and I am normally more of a plot-based reader than a character-based reader, but this book was so intriguing with all the characters that I felt like it was enough of a plot in itself to see what each of the characters were going to do with their, with each new piece of information that they were given. So yeah, it was a really great read. I thank Angie for putting this all together and for letting me be part of it. I hope that I was a decent host. I feel like I kind of got behind and didn't really participate in the conversations as much as I could have. But yeah, I feel like I did well with the bingo prompts. I didn't get all of them. I didn't end up doing a candlelight dinner, although I actually did have a candlelight dinner, but I just forgot to film it. So I have no proof. um, and what else? There were a couple of other things that I didn't do, but I will try to remember to put my final bingo card up here at the end. But anyway, I hope you all had a good time if you joined us in the read along. And if you have not picked up I Captured the Castle and you're kind of intrigued by it, and even if I spoiled things for you and you're still watching this, I'm sorry, but you were warned. But I still think that even if I spoiled some things for you, that you should definitely still read this, because I didn't really spoil everything, and there's a lot that happens in this book that I didn't even mention. So, yeah. All right, I am going to go and try to get this edited and uploaded before the end of Monday, which is going to be a feat. And I will see you next time for something. I don't really know what I'm going to film next, but we'll see. So, all right, friends, I hope you are having a lovely June, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.